I didn't hear from you last night, I said softly, setting my mug down. You said you'd call. Lila looked up from her cereal, her smile faint but careful. My phone died, Ethan, I told you. I know, I murmured. But it's strange, isn't it? You always charge it before bed. She laughed lightly, the sound too thin to be real. You're overthinking again. Maybe I just forgot. I wanted to believe her. God, I did. I watched her tuck a strand of hair behind her ear, eyes never meeting mine. Her fingers brushed the phone beside her bowl, the same one that had been dead just hours ago. Forgot, I repeated, nodding. Right, happens. Ethan, she said, frowning, don't start this again. We've been through this before. You get anxious when I don't reply, and then you create stories in your head. Stories, I said quietly, staring at the steam rising from my coffee. Is that what this is to you? A story? She sighed. I'm late for work. Of course, I said, forcing a smile. Wouldn't want you to be late because of a dead battery. Her chair scraped against the floor. You're making it sound like I did something wrong. Did you? The words slipped out before I could stop them. Her expression froze. For a moment, she looked hurt, then annoyed. You really don't trust me, do you? I didn't answer. The silence between us stretched heavy and sharp. I could almost hear the seconds breaking apart. I'll call you at lunch, she said finally, grabbing her bag. If your phone's alive by then, I whispered. She paused at the door. You're being ridiculous. Maybe, I said, but I'm honest about it. The door closed and her perfume lingered, soft jasmine mixed with something colder, unfamiliar. I sat alone, listening to the quiet hum of the refrigerator. It was strange how silence could feel like betrayal. At work, my mind refused to settle. My colleagues talked about deadlines and budgets, but all I could think about was that calm, measured tone in her voice, the one that sounded rehearsed. I had known Lila for 6 years, married for 3. I used to know every shade of her laughter, every glance. But lately, everything about her felt edited, filtered, like she was acting in a version of our life that I didn't recognize. That evening, when she didn't answer again, I called twice. Then 3 times, straight to voicemail. I stared at my reflection in the dark window, phone pressed to my ear, listening to her recorded voice say, Hey, it's Lila. Leave a message. I didn't leave one. Instead, I texted, Are you safe? No reply. Hours later, she walked in, smiling faintly. Sorry, she said, slipping off her heels. The phone died again. I looked at her. Again? She laughed softly. It's old, Ethan. Maybe I need a new one. I wanted to believe her. But something in her tone, it wasn't guilt. It was fatigue. The kind that comes from lying too often. Where were you? I asked. With Claire, she said easily. Girls' night. I told you yesterday. You did, I said. But Claire texted me a meme around 10. She didn't mention you. Lila froze for half a second before smiling again. You're checking up on me now? No, I said. Just connecting dots. We'll stop connecting. It's exhausting. She brushed past me. I'm tired, Ethan. Please don't start an argument. Her words landed softly but cut deep. I watched her walk down the hallway, her figure disappearing into the bedroom light. My chest tightened. I didn't know whether to follow her or let her vanish into that quiet, perfect lie. 2 days later, the phone bill arrived. I wasn't looking for anything. I was just sorting through the mail, water, gas, internet, until my eyes caught the list of call logs. Her number, our plan. I skimmed without interest at first, then froze. A pattern. Midnight. Every night. Same number. Same duration, 20-30 minutes. A number I didn't recognize. My heart thudded in my throat. I told myself it could be work. A client, a mistake. But my hands were trembling as I searched the number online. No business listing. Just a name. Ryan Keller. I'd heard it before once. A colleague from her office. The one she said was just good with reports. I sat there for a long time, staring at that paper. The edges blurred as my vision swam. My chest ached in slow waves. I wanted to tear it apart, but I couldn't. I needed it, proof that I wasn't imagining everything. When she came home that night, she looked radiant, flushed, almost guilty of happiness. You're still up? She asked softly. I couldn't sleep, I said. You? Long day, she replied. And a dead phone again. She smiled, walking toward me. Don't look at me like that. I'll charge it this time. I watched her plug it in, watched the screen light up and reflect in her eyes. I wondered if she could see the storm behind mine. "Lila," I whispered. "Do you love me?" Her fingers stilled. "What kind of question is that?" "A simple one. Of course I love you," she said quickly. "Why would you even ask?" I smiled faintly. No reason, but inside I knew better. Because love doesn't hide behind dead batteries and midnight calls. And yet, that night her phone didn't die. It was very much alive, talking to someone else. "Hey," I said, leaning on the kitchen counter, pretending to sound casual. "Funny thing, our phone bill came today." Lila looked up from her laptop. "Yeah, did we go over the limit again?" "Not exactly," I smiled lightly. "Just a lot of late-night activity." She raised a brow. "What does that mean?" "Calls," I said slowly. "Around midnight. Same number, repeatedly." Her laughter came fast, sharp. "You actually check the call logs now?" I shrugged. "Just curiosity. You know me, numbers, patterns. Occupational hazard." She closed the laptop. "You think I'm calling someone?" "At midnight?" I met her eyes. "I didn't say that. You didn't have to." She sighed, rubbing her temple. "Ethan, I work late, I talk to clients, I handle emergencies. Sometimes timing isn't ideal." "Right," I murmured. "Just odd that this client has the same number every night." Her jaw tightened. "Are you accusing me of something?" "No," I said quickly. "I'm asking." "Well, it sounds like an accusation." I held her gaze. "Then tell me who it is." She hesitated, eyes darting for a second before softening her tone. "You're imagining things again. You do this when you're stressed." The word again sliced deep. I turned away, pretending to laugh. "You're right. Probably nothing." "Exactly," she said, relief rushing into her voice. "Please don't let your mind go there." But it was already there. At work the next day, I caught myself staring at my phone every few minutes. The voice in my head whispered she lied. You know she lied. I fought it back. Maybe I was paranoid. Maybe love had made me stupid. Maya noticed before I said a word. "You look like someone stole your dog," she said, dropping a folder on my desk. "Rough night," I muttered. She studied me. "You're thinking about Lila again." "I always am. What did she do this time?" I hesitated. Maybe nothing. Maybe everything. Maya leaned against the desk. "Ethan, if you start checking phone bills, that's not love anymore. That's fear wearing a disguise." I tried to smile, but it came out broken. "You ever feel like someone you love becomes someone else?" "All the time," she said softly. "The trick is knowing when to stop chasing the version of them that only exists in your head." Her words stung. I looked down at the table, tracing invisible lines with my finger. "I just need to know the truth," Maya sighed. "And if the truth hurts? Then at least it's honest." She squeezed my arm gently. "Don't lose yourself trying to find her." But I already was. That night, Lila came home late again. Perfume, too sweet, too strong. She smiled faintly. "You're still awake?" "Couldn't sleep," I said. She brushed my cheek with a kiss that didn't taste like home. "You worry too much." "Maybe," I said, "but that's because I still care." Her eyes flickered, uncertain, before she disappeared into the shower. I sat in the dark living room, staring at her phone charging beside me. The screen lit up just for a second. Unknown number, 12:01 a.m. My hands trembled. When she came back, wrapped in a towel, I asked, "Who calls you after midnight?" She froze. "No one." "Spam, maybe." "Spam that calls you every night?" "Ethan, stop it." Her voice cracked. "You're suffocating me." I swallowed the ache in my chest. "Maybe if you stopped hiding, I wouldn't have to." She stared at me for a long time, eyes filled with something I couldn't name. "I'm going to bed. I didn't follow her." I just sat there listening to the clock tick like it was mocking me. When the house finally fell silent, I picked up my phone. My fingers hovered over the keypad, over that number I'd seen again and again. I told myself not to do it, that it would only break something I couldn't fix. But I dialed anyway. 1 ring, 2, 3. Then a voice, deep, confident, too familiar. "Hello?" My mouth went dry. "Who's this?" "Ryan," he said casually. "Who's asking?" The name hit me like ice water. My pulse thundered in my ears. "Sorry," I whispered, forcing my voice steady. "Wrong number," he chuckled softly. "No problem, man." The call ended. My hand shook as I lowered the phone. The room felt smaller, the air heavier. I sat there, staring at nothing, my breath caught somewhere between fury and heartbreak. I replayed his voice over and over in my head. I remembered how Lila once mentioned him in passing. Ryan's great at solving client issues. I hadn't thought twice then. I did now. I stared at the glowing screen, the name still in my recent calls. My reflection in the glass looked like someone else entirely, someone I didn't want to know. The phone buzzed again, making me flinch. A message from Lila, still at work. Don't wait up. Work, midnight. Ryan. The pieces fit too perfectly to ignore. My throat burned as I whispered into the empty room. You lied to me. And then he said her name, Lila, and I forgot how to breathe. Did you sleep? Lila asked, pouring coffee into 2 mugs. Barely, I said. The walls kept whispering. She laughed, uneasy. You're becoming poetic again. That's how I know you're overthinking. Maybe, I said. Or maybe I just hear what silence hides. Her smile faltered. Ethan, please, can we not start the morning with suspicion? I didn't say anything, I said, taking the mug. Did I? Her gaze dropped to her phone, screen down. She never used to do that. I watched her fingers brush it protectively, as though it were fragile. What time did you get home last night? I asked. Late, she said quickly. Work ran over. Of course, she hesitated. You don't believe me. I'm trying, I said. But believing is hard when midnight feels crowded. She rolled her eyes. You're imagining ghosts now. Not ghosts, I murmured. Just people who answer when I shouldn't call. Her hand froze on the counter. You called him, didn't you? The question hit like lightning. You said him, I replied. Why not just say called who? I meant, she stammered, then stopped. You're twisting everything. Maybe because everything's already twisted. She grabbed her bag. I can't do this every day. I know, I said softly. Lying takes energy, her eyes flashed. You think you're the victim here? You've become impossible to live with. I learned it from you, I said, voice barely above a whisper. She turned, angry tears in her eyes, and slammed the door behind her. The sound echoed through the house like something breaking, something that used to be alive. The silence that followed felt unnatural, thick like smoke. I walked through the room slowly, noticing how the air itself seemed colder. Her perfume still lingered in the hallway, sweet and sharp. I hated that I still loved the scent. I sat on the couch, staring at the spot where she used to curl up beside me. I could almost hear her laughter again, the way she'd lean against my shoulder and say, You always worry too much, Ethan, I whispered to the empty room. Maybe I had a reason. The memories came uninvited. Our first kiss under a broken umbrella. The night she cried on my chest when her father died. The way she used to call me, my calm. All those moments now felt like pieces of glass I kept stepping on, beautiful, but always bleeding me. The doorbell startled me. I opened it to find Lucas, my younger brother, standing there with 2 coffees and a knowing look. You look like hell, he said. Thanks, I muttered. You always know how to cheer me up. He walked in, glancing around. Still feels like a museum in here. No warmth left. That's because warmth moved out a while ago, I said. He frowned. So she's still lying? I hesitated. I think so. But I can't prove it yet. Do you need proof? He snapped. You've got instinct, Ethan. That's enough. No, I said firmly. I need truth, not theories. Proof keeps me sane. Lucas sat down. You sound like a man building his own prison. Maybe, I said. But I'd rather build one than live in hers, he sighed. What's your plan? Spy? Hire someone? I don't know, I admitted. I just can't confront her empty-handed. Empty-handed? He scoffed. She's draining you, man. Look at yourself. I looked away. I still love her. Lucas's tone softened. And does she love you? The question hung between us like a ghost. I don't know anymore, I whispered. He put a hand on my shoulder. Then find out. Whatever happens, stop dying by inches. I nodded, but my chest felt heavier. You make it sound simple. It is, he said quietly. It's just painful. After he left, I sat for hours, listening to the creaks of the house. Every sound felt alive, mocking me, echoing her laughter, her lies. I walked into the bedroom. The bed looked untouched, but her scent lingered on the pillow. I picked up her phone charger. She always left it behind when she went out. I wondered if she charged it somewhere else, somewhere he was, my thoughts tangled. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe the late calls were innocent. Maybe Ryan was just work. But then again, why the secrecy? Why the defensive tone? Why the sudden habit of sleeping with her phone face down, as if the screen might betray her? My chest tightened. I sat on the floor beside the bed, my back against the nightstand. "Talk to me, Lila," I whispered into the emptiness. "Tell me what changed." Of course, there was no answer. Just silence. When she came home later that evening, I pretended to be asleep. She tiptoed into the room, the faint glow of her phone lighting her face. She typed quickly, smiling faintly at the screen. The sound of her soft laughter sliced through me. I opened my eyes slightly, just enough to see her reflection in the mirror. Her fingers danced over the keyboard. I caught the flicker of a name, Ryan. Her expression softened, the way it used to when she talked to me. I bit my tongue to keep from making a sound. My pulse pounded so hard it hurt. She slipped the phone under the pillow, turned off the light, and climbed into bed beside me, sighing contentedly. I lay there pretending to sleep, every muscle rigid, every breath measured. Minutes passed. The glow of the phone returned briefly beneath the pillow. A message popped up bright against the darkness. I turned my head slightly, just enough to read the words before the screen dimmed again. "Can't wait for tonight." Same hotel? I told myself it was just another lie I didn't need to chase. But when she left that evening, perfume too strong, smile too forced, I grabbed my keys anyway. The air outside bit at my throat. My hands shook on the steering wheel. I followed her taillights like they were leading me to a confession I wasn't ready to hear. "Where are you going, Lila?" I whispered. "And who are you going there for?" Every red light felt like a warning. Every minute stretched. My heartbeat filled the car louder than the engine. When she turned into the Hotel Crestview lot, my chest collapsed inward. I parked across the street, headlights off, watching her step out. She checked her reflection in the window, smoothed her hair, smiled at her phone. Then he appeared, Ryan, tall, confident, the kind of man who didn't need to hide. My voice cracked inside my throat. "That's him." They hugged. Not quick, not friendly, slow, familiar. I gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white. "Say it, Ethan," I whispered to myself. "Say what you're seeing," she laughed. I hadn't heard that sound in months. It used to belong to me. I rolled down the window slightly. Her words drifted across the cold air. "Did you miss me?" she said, soft but playful. Ryan's voice followed. "Always," I closed my eyes. I wanted to scream, but my voice refused. "Why?" I muttered. "Why did you make me the fool?" A car honked somewhere behind me. I didn't move. Couldn't. My body was cemented to the seat. She touched Ryan's chest, fingers tracing the collar of his shirt. I remembered those same hands fixing my tie before work, brushing crumbs off my jacket, holding mine when life was heavy. "Lila," I said, barely breathing her name. "Don't go in there," but she did. She looked around once, nervous, scanning the parking lot. My heart skipped. Maybe she'd see me, maybe this nightmare would end, but she didn't see me. She just smiled, took his hand, and disappeared through the glass doors. I sat there staring at the revolving door as if it would spit her back out with an apology. It didn't. Minutes passed. 10, 20. Time lost shape. I didn't even notice I'd bitten the inside of my cheek until I tasted blood. A voice inside me whispered, "Go inside." "See it for yourself," another voice answered. "No. You already know." I leaned back in the seat, whispering like a prayer. "Please, God, make this something else." But even God was silent tonight. The parking lot blurred through the fog of my breath. A couple laughed nearby. The sound felt cruel, obscene. I looked at the hotel's windows, every one of them glowing, full of lives I didn't want to imagine. I started the car, then killed the engine. Started again. Killed it again. What do I do? I whispered. Confront her? Pretend? Leave? My reflection in the rearview mirror looked alien, eyes swollen, jaw locked. Say something, I told myself. Anything, but there was nothing left to say. Just the hum of streetlights and the faint echo of their laughter in my memory. Finally, I drove home, slowly, headlights cutting through the dark like blades. I didn't turn on the radio, didn't need music. The silence was enough. Halfway there, I started talking to myself again. You saw it, I said aloud. You saw the truth. The words didn't sound real. They just hung in the air like frost. When I reached home, the house looked foreign, too clean, too calm. I walked inside and stood in the living room, coat still on, shoes still wet. The ticking clock sounded louder than usual. I laughed bitterly. You cheated so quietly, Lila. Even the walls didn't notice. I sank into the couch, staring at the wedding photo above the fireplace. We looked so young there, her in white, me in disbelief that she'd chosen me. What a joke, I muttered, my darker voice, the one I'd buried for years, stirred awake inside. Me? She took your trust, it said. I know. She took your peace. No, then take something back, I froze. What? Something that matters to her. Break what she built. I shook my head. No, that's not me. The voice whispered, It is now. I stood up, pacing. The shadows stretched across the floor, long and thin, like fingers reaching for me. My breathing grew uneven. I opened drawers, closed them again. The anger felt strange, cold, not hot. Like frost spreading under my skin, I walked into our bedroom. Her side of the bed was untouched. I could smell her perfume, that same cloying sweetness I once loved. My eyes landed on the wedding album on her nightstand. I picked it up. My hands trembled as I flipped through it. Our vows, our smiles, our beginning. She'd written forever in silver pen on the inside cover. Forever, I repeated. You said forever. My fingers traced her handwriting. For a second, I almost cried. But the tears didn't come. Only the voice did. Take it back, Ethan. I tore the first page out slowly, the sound of ripping paper slicing through the silence. It didn't feel like revenge. It felt like survival, another page. And another, each tear was a heartbeat. Steady, deliberate, final. By the time I stopped, pieces of our life were scattered across the floor. I stood there, breathing hard, surrounded by fragments of love and lies, and for the first time in months, I felt nothing at all. Lila, I said, my voice trembling more than I wanted. We need to talk now. She looked up from the couch, calm, almost amused. About what, Ethan? You've been quiet all evening. Don't play games, I snapped, my hands clenching into fists. I know what you've been doing. Her smile faltered for a fraction of a second. Doing what? You know exactly what, I said, stepping closer. Ryan, the hotel. The calls. Every lie, every fake excuse. Don't lie to me now, she swallowed, eyes flicking away. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't, I said through gritted teeth. I've seen the messages. I've followed you. I've listened to the calls. I'm done pretending, Lila. She laughed nervously, but it didn't reach her eyes. Ethan, it's not what you think. He's just a friend. Friend? I repeated, voice breaking. Friend? You text him at midnight, you meet him at hotels, and that's a friend? Her hands shook slightly, the tremor almost imperceptible. It's complicated. You wouldn't understand. Try me, I said, voice rising. I've been living this nightmare while smiling, while pretending to trust you. You've stolen everything from me. She flinched at my words. I didn't steal anything. You're twisting it, making it bigger than it is. Bigger? I shouted. Do you hear yourself? Do you hear me? I ran a hand through my hair, heart hammering in my chest. I could feel the ache spreading, sharp and raw. I loved you, Lila. I gave you my entire life, my trust, you're overreacting. She yelled, cutting me off. You're imagining things. I shook my head, tears stinging my eyes. No, I'm not imagining. I saw you, Lila. Outside the hotel. I followed you. I watched. Her expression crumbled for a second. Real fear, real guilt. Then she masked it with anger. You've lost your mind. How dare you spy on me? How dare you invade my privacy? Privacy? I spat. Is that what you call betraying someone? Betraying me every single night? She began to cry then, fake tears, or maybe real. I couldn't tell anymore. You're too sensitive. You always are. You make everything about yourself. I staggered back, chest tight, unable to breathe properly. I can't do this anymore. I told you, she said, trembling. It's nothing serious, just don't make a big deal out of it. Her hands shook more now, gripping the edge of the couch. Every gesture screamed lies, and yet I wanted to believe her. I wanted to hear her say she loved me, that it was a mistake. But the evidence, the cold proof, wouldn't allow it. The front door slammed open. Lucas. What the hell is going on? I turned to him, voice raw. She what, Ethan? Lila cried, backing away. You're crazy. Leave me alone. Lucas stepped between us. Ethan, calm down! Calm down! I shouted. She's been lying, cheating every damn night. Enough! Lucas roared. I will not watch you destroy yourself over this without confronting her properly. Lila grabbed her bag. I'm leaving. You don't get it! You never get it. The words hit me like blows. She ran out the door, slamming it behind her. Silence filled the house immediately after, the kind of silence that isn't peaceful. It's heavy, suffocating. I sank to the couch, shaking, tears streaming down my face. I wanted to scream, but my throat was tight. My heart felt like it had shattered into pieces I couldn't put back together. Lucas muttered, She's gone. Breathe, Ethan. Just breathe. I couldn't. Nothing helped. I rubbed my face with trembling hands, the apartment spinning around me. Everything felt wrong, every sound, every shadow, every memory of her past words and touches now poisoned. The room felt empty, but I could still see her everywhere, in the corner of my eyes, in the fading perfume, in the echo of her laughter. Minutes passed, hours maybe. I couldn't tell. Then my phone buzzed. Maya? I hesitated. Finally I answered. Hey! Ethan. Her voice was gentle, soothing. I heard, Are you okay? Okay? I whispered. Do you even know what okay is? I know you're hurting, she said, and I can't take her away from you, but you need to stop torturing yourself. I can't, I said, voice barely audible. I feel hollow. Everything she touched. It's all gone now. I know, Maya said softly, but hurting her won't bring peace. You need to let go. Let go, I repeated, bitterness rising. Do you know what that feels like? Not exactly, she admitted. But I do know holding on this way. It's killing you, I laughed bitterly. Killing me is better than letting her win, Maya. Ethan, she whispered. Sometimes letting go is stronger than holding on. I closed my eyes, but all I could see was her face, smiling, lying, and walking away. I could feel her presence leave the apartment. I could feel my own heartbeat slowing, dull and hollow. I opened my eyes, staring at the ceiling, but letting go never felt this wrong. I didn't hear her leave. The apartment was empty before I even realized it. Goodbye, I whispered into the silence. I walked through the room slowly, touching nothing, seeing nothing. Her shoes were gone, her scarves, her perfume, the faint trace lingering like a ghost. I sank into the couch. So that's it, I said, voice breaking. You're gone. Days passed and the hours blurred together. I didn't answer calls. I didn't leave the apartment. I didn't sleep properly. I just stared at the walls, listening to the quiet grow louder. I started writing. Dear Lila, I whispered one night, pen shaking. I don't know if this will reach you, but I need to say it. I paused, staring at the blank page. The words refused to come. Why did you lie? I asked aloud, though the room was empty. Why betray everything we had? I wrote anyway. Letters I never sent. Pages full of anger, pages full of love, pages full of heartbreak. The pen scratched until the ink bled, and still, the ache inside me didn't fade. Maya came by one evening. You're not sleeping again, are you? No, I admitted. I can't, Right, I guess, she sat beside me. Do you think you'll ever send them? No, I said softly. If I send them, I admit I still care. I can't, she nodded, understanding. Sometimes writing is enough. I didn't say anything. She knew that already. Rumors started reaching me from the edges of the world I'd thought I had. Lila's office, once pristine and orderly, was buzzing. People whispered. Names passed along hushed corridors. Ryan, one voice said. And Lila, it's a mess. Seriously? Another replied. I heard Ava sent the evidence to his wife. I didn't need confirmation. I just listened. Every piece of gossip was like a stitch unraveling the tapestry she had built around herself. My stomach twisted in strange satisfaction. Karma, I thought. Slow, deliberate, painful. Watching without touching. Waiting without acting. I heard whispers of confrontations, arguments, heartbreak spreading from office to office like a chain reaction. I didn't call her. I didn't intervene. I just drank coffee alone, pen in hand, scribbling fragments of memory and fragments of anger. Why does it feel good and bad at the same time? I muttered aloud. Maya didn't answer. She just watched, silently understanding that some satisfaction carries a shadow. The nights were the worst. I would lie in the darkness thinking about her smile, the touch of her hand, the warmth that was gone. My journal became my confessor, my witness, my quiet revenge. Every day I write your name, I whispered into the empty apartment. Every day I swear I'll never forgive, but I do it anyway. I hate that I love you, Lila. I hate it so much. Some nights I imagined her receiving my letters, seeing my anger, my love, my despair. Imagining her crumbling just a little bit like she did in reality. Was that cruel? Or fair? I didn't know. I didn't care. I just wrote, one morning I found an article online, a scandal quietly spreading. Her name, Ryan's, office emails, even phone logs leaked by someone smart enough to connect the dots. Ava's name appeared in the margins of gossip posts. Whistleblower, unintentional hero, savior of some betrayed spouse. I leaned back in my chair. My chest felt tight, but not from anger this time. From cold, calculated acknowledgement. She had lied. She had destroyed trust. And now, without me lifting a finger, her life was unraveling. The world she had carefully constructed, the stories she told to justify herself, the lies she wrapped around her name, everything began to fall, and I watched. I didn't cheer. I didn't celebrate. I just let the truth settle, thick and slow, into the space she once filled. There was a strange emptiness and satisfaction. It wasn't joy, not really. It was watching the scales tip and knowing balance had finally come, quietly, cruelly, naturally. I wrote another letter. This one shorter. You're not untouchable. You never were, I didn't sign it. I wouldn't send it. Then my phone buzzed. I hadn't checked messages in days. I glanced down, almost afraid to see a name I knew would hurt. It was from her. Can we talk? I stared at the screen, the words blinking like a pulse in the dark. My hands shook. My chest tightened. My pen fell to the floor. I didn't reply, and yet I knew this conversation would come. The knock at the door was soft, hesitant. My first thought was to ignore it. My second was to hope it wasn't her. Ethan? Her voice wavered, broken, almost unrecognizable. I didn't answer immediately. I stared at the door, hands gripping the edge of the table. My chest felt heavy, tight, and cold. Please, she whispered. I need to talk, I exhaled slowly. Come in, I said, voice flat. She stepped inside. Lila, hair messy, eyes red, shoulders slumped. She looked like someone I used to love had been erased, replaced by someone hollow. I've ruined everything, she said, voice cracking. Ryan, he left. And everyone at work knows. It's all falling apart. She choked back a sob. I'm sorry, Ethan. I never meant. I held up a hand. Stop. Her gaze locked on mine, pleading. Please, please forgive me. I can't take it anymore. I sat in the chair, arms crossed. Do you know what you did? I do, she whispered. Every lie, every call, every time I smiled at him when I should have been with you. I know. I loved you, I said, voice low, trembling. I gave you everything. My trust, my time, my life, and you threw it away. I know, she said again, falling to her knees. I know, and I'm sorry. I don't even know why I did it. I thought I could. I don't know. I was stupid, selfish. Please, Ethan, forgive me. Her tears were endless, rolling down her face in rivers I once wanted to drown in. I wanted to reach out, to hold her, to tell her it was okay. But I couldn't. You can't fix this, I said quietly. Not with tears. Not with apologies. Not with excuses. I'll do anything, she cried. I'll leave Ryan behind. I'll tell everyone the truth. You'll do what? I interrupted, voice rising. You think words can erase months of betrayal? You think confessions can repair what you destroyed? Her shoulders shook violently. I don't know. I need you to know I'm sorry. I'm begging you. I leaned back, staring at her. My mind was a battlefield. Part of me wanted to scream, to yell, to hurt her as she had hurt me. Part of me wanted to fall to my knees and tell her I still loved her, that none of it mattered, but neither happened. You killed something in me, I said finally, voice steady, calm but heavy. Something I can't bring back. You don't get to ask for forgiveness because what you broke. It's gone. She blinked, stunned as if my words had physically struck her. Ethan, please, I'll do anything. You can't, I said. And you shouldn't. Her face crumpled entirely now, tears streaking her cheeks. She sobbed openly, collapsing on the floor. I don't deserve this. I don't deserve anything. But please, please tell me it can be fixed. I shook my head. It can't. Not with me. Not with the man you destroyed. Not with the trust you shattered. She buried her face in her hands, gasping between sobs. I was stupid. I was evil. I didn't realize until it was too late. I thought you'd stay no matter what. I never imagined losing you. You didn't lose me, I said softly. I lost you. I lost the person I thought I knew, the person I trusted. The version of you I loved? She's gone. The room felt impossibly still. Her cries echoed in the empty apartment, bouncing off the walls, bouncing inside my chest, yet I didn't move. I didn't comfort her. I didn't reach for her. Finally, she looked up, eyes swollen and pleading. Ethan, please! Forgive me. Just one last time, please. I studied her face. I remembered her laugh, her touch, the warmth that was never hers to give. I felt anger, grief, heartbreak, and a strange calm settle over me. I didn't forgive you, I said quietly. I can't. You betrayed me too completely for that, but I forgive myself for believing you. Her mouth opened, closing again. She nodded slowly, unable to speak. She stood, trembling, gathering herself. I understand, she whispered. I'll leave. I don't deserve you anyway. Go, I said, voice calm but unyielding. And don't come back. Not for me. Not for anything we were. She lingered for a moment, eyes locking on mine one last time. Pain, regret, and something else flickered there. Maybe hope, maybe desperation. Then she turned, walked to the door and left. The click of the lock behind her was deafening. I sank back into the chair, staring at the empty space she had occupied. Silence pressed in on me, but it wasn't empty anymore. It was final. I whispered to the shadows, Goodbye, Lila. Goodbye forever. And for the first time in months, I felt a strange weight lift from my chest. Not relief. Not happiness, just closure. I didn't forgive her. I forgave myself for believing her. I hadn't expected mornings to feel so quiet. The apartment no longer carried her scent, no longer echoed with laughter I had loved and hated in equal measure. Just the soft hum of the city outside and the faint hiss of the coffee machine. Coffee? Mark asked, leaning against the doorway. His smile was easy, effortless. I nodded, taking the cup he handed me. Thanks, I needed this, he chuckled. Needed it every morning, don't lie. I laughed softly, the sound foreign to me after months of hollow nights. Yeah, I guess I did. Look at you, he said, shaking his head. Months without losing it. I'm impressed, I shrugged. I had help. Maya, too? She checks in? Mark raised an eyebrow. Every week, I said, smiling faintly. She won't let me wallow forever. Good. You're not allowed to wallow. Not after everything. I took a sip of coffee, letting the warmth seep in. I've been trying to remember what normal feels like. Even simple things. Rain on the windows, working late, reading in silence. They mean something now. Mark nodded. That's progress, man. That's real progress. I leaned back, eyes on the ceiling. I never thought I'd get here. Not without her. But now I realize I don't need her to feel alive. Exactly, Mark said. You needed life, not a broken apology. I smiled, letting the memory of her tears fade. Some part of me still ached, of course. Some nights her voice or laughter sneaked into my thoughts, but I no longer let it control me. Maya called later that afternoon. Hey, Ethan, she said, cheerful but careful. How's my favorite survivor? I laughed softly. Better than I've been in a long time? Actually, good, I think. Good? She repeated, teasing. That's it? You're actually sounding calm. I am, I admitted. I'm scarred. Still hurt in places, but calmer. I can sit in the quiet now without feeling empty. You sound human again, she said, relieved. That's huge, I smiled faintly. It is, I think I'm learning. I can live without needing closure from her. I can find joy in the small things. Like? She asked, I chuckled. Morning coffee, like we said. Rain on the window. Writing again, not letters I send, just writing for me, and working late on projects without obsessing about her. That's great, Maya said softly. Really great, I leaned back thinking. You know, it's weird. I'm not the same person I was before any of this. But maybe that's okay. Maybe that's the point. I've rebuilt. I've survived. And for the first time, I feel me. You sound happy, she said. Not completely, I admitted, but close. I don't expect perfection, just peace. The evening came. I opened the window, listening to the rain patter against the glass. The sound filled the empty apartment, and I didn't flinch. I didn't expect her. I didn't hope she'd call. I simply let it wash over me, cleansing some invisible ache I didn't realize still lingered. Mark texted me later. Beer tonight? Celebrate surviving the storm, I replied. Yeah, I'll come. It felt strange to want to go out, to laugh with friends again, without carrying the weight of betrayal on my shoulders. I realized healing wasn't a single moment. It was a series of small ones, stitched together by choice, not by chance. Sitting at the bar later, talking to Mark and Maya, I laughed freely. A real laugh, not the hollow one I'd forced in front of mirrors. And for the first time in months, I felt like the world belonged to me again. Look at you, Mark said, raising his glass. Back from the edge, I smiled, clinking my glass with his. Yeah, I guess I am, Maya grinned. To surviving and thriving, to surviving and thriving, I echoed, meaning every word. The night wound down, and I walked home under the soft drizzle. The rain kissed my face, and I breathed deeply, savoring the quiet. The city was alive, buzzing with its own stories, and mine was just one thread, stitched together with resilience. I opened the apartment door, letting the warmth wrap around me. I sat by the window watching water slide down the glass. I closed my eyes, and for the first time I felt whole. But sometimes I still hear her name in my dreams. The phone rang and I almost didn't answer. I hadn't expected her name or number to appear again. My chest tightened, a familiar ache surfacing. Hello? I said cautiously. Is this Ethan Carter? A woman's voice asked, calm but urgent. Yes. Who's this? This is Mrs. Hayes, Lila's mother, she said, her voice breaking slightly. I'm calling with news about Lila. My stomach dropped. What about her? Ethan, she died. A car accident last night. I'm so sorry. No, I whispered, shaking my head, disbelief anchoring me to the floor. You're joking. You're lying. I wish I were, Mrs. Hayes said softly. I called to make sure you knew. She wanted you to know. I sank into the couch, heart hammering, voice cracking. I don't know what to say. I can't. It's not your fault, she said. I just thought you should hear it from someone who cares. I closed my eyes, letting the silence fill the apartment, broken only by the faint hum of the city outside. I need to see her, I whispered. I need to. You can, Mrs. Hayes said gently.
The funeral is tomorrow morning.
If you want to come, I'll come, I said, voice hollow. The next morning, the sky was overcast, rain threatening. I drove in silence, gripping the wheel until my knuckles ached. The world felt gray, muted, like it had drained all color just for me. At the cemetery, I parked and stepped out, rain starting to fall softly, tapping against my coat. I walked toward her grave, hands shaking, eyes fixed on the freshly dug earth. I knelt beside it, staring at her name carved in stone. Lila, I whispered. My voice caught in my throat. I didn't expect to see you like this. A flash of memory surged. Her laugh, her lies, the late-night calls, the hotel room, the tears, the apologies that came too late. All of it, every word, every betrayal, every tear. Why now? I whispered to the rain. Why like this? I reached into my pocket and pulled out the old phone bill, the evidence that had started it all, proof of the betrayal that had destroyed us. I placed it gently on her tombstone. Now your phone can rest, I said softly, tears mingling with the rain. I leaned forward, resting my forehead against the cold stone. I won't lie, Lila, you hurt me. You broke something inside me I thought could never heal. But I forgive you. Not for you, for me. Because carrying this anger, holding on to the past, it only weighs me down. Rain soaked my hair, my coat, my hands. I didn't care. The water felt like absolution, washing away the last remnants of bitterness. I wish, I whispered, voice trembling. I wish you could have learned sooner. I shook my head, swallowing hard. I wish it didn't have to end this way. I wish we could have had the life we imagined. The cemetery was quiet, save for the rain and distant hum of cars on the street. I stood slowly, touching the stone one last time. Goodbye, Lila. Truly goodbye. I stepped back, leaving the phone bill and my whispered words behind. My chest felt heavy, yet lighter somehow. Freedom and finality, peace and acceptance. I turned toward the path leading away from her grave, boots splashing softly in puddles. The rain fell harder now, drenching me, but I walked on without looking back. Some part of me wanted to run, to scream, to let the storm carry my grief away, but I didn't. I simply let it pour, each drop blending with tears I had held back for months. As I walked through the cemetery, past rows of silent graves, the rain felt cleansing. It carried sorrow, but also release. Each step forward felt like reclaiming myself, piece by piece, from the ruins of what had been. I forgive, I whispered again, not to her, not to anyone, but to myself. The world around me seemed softer, quieter. The storm wasn't over, but I was, and for the first time in years I could breathe freely.